What is up YouTube? Forrest Proctor here, and today I feel convicted to talk to you about Accsoon's CineEye 2, not to be confused with the 2S, which is the one that comes with SDI, which I should have bought because it was only like $60, maybe $80 more, and would have been worth it with the C200 and the red Komodo, but I didn't. Not really sure why. I'm not gonna hold it up and show it to you and all that jazz because you already know what it looks like from maybe the thumbnail and also the fact that you search the video. Hopefully you know what it looks like, and I'm also using it as a monitor right now, which is the first time I have ever used it in this way because I don't really make YouTube videos a lot, but I'm starting to get going on the YouTube videos now. So yeah, like, subscribe, do the bell thing that everybody always talks about. This is not gonna be a review that's like me doing tests on how many feet that it will work at. I work in like a 40-foot perimeter with most of my projects. If you're doing something where you're like hundreds of yards away, this probably is not for you. I say that because I just shot this music video behind me and we got maybe 50 yards away through a couple walls and it was just glitchy and unusable. So this is a real world review. Like I said, I've used it on a music video. I've used it on a couple different corporate projects for really big clients, and I've got a lot to say about it, so let's go. All right, first things first, when you plug it in, turn it on and connect to your iPad. It connects up to 4 or 5 devices or something like that. You can find the specs on that. It connects pretty much instantly. It's not like your stupid GoPros or even your gimbals and stuff like that where it like takes forever and the app sucks. The app's actually pretty good and it just connects. So I appreciate that actually, that's awesome. Yeah, it attaches with these little screwy things. I'm gonna put some behind the scenes on screen so you can see. It's just, I don't know what you call it, a circle on a hot shoe thing. You just spin it until it tightens down. I will say that those don't get very tight just by hand, so I actually use a pair of pliers to like really tighten it, because when I'm using it on the Easy Rig, I just don't want it to fly off. So I use some pliers to like get it tight to where I have to use the pliers to get it off. I get it that tight. Just for me, running and gunning, especially on some of these shots you'll see, we're moving really fast and I just don't want it to fly off. So the build quality of the unit is actually really, really nice, and I'm a sucker for good build quality. When I get something in my hand that's metal and feels sturdy and has some weight to it, I'm like, oh, okay, this is gonna not only add weight to my rig, but I feel like I can bump it into things. And I've actually beat the crap out of this in 3 weeks. Like I actually broke an antenna. I was hoping to reach out to Accsoon, because if you join the Facebook group, by the way, you get lifetime warranty. So Accsoon, if you're watching this, I could use an antenna, or I don't know if I have to send it in. I really don't want to do that. I'll just live with it, put some gaff tape on it. But I did bust an antenna while I was working, and it was just a little crack on the top. It didn't affect the signal or anything. And so the antennas could be more sturdy, but I think that was more of a user error. The actual body of it is hard metal, and there's very little plastic, and the HDMI ports are very sturdy. Also, where you put in the Sony battery is really nice. It clips in really hard. It's not loose or anything. So A+ on the build quality. This thing uses virtually no battery. I used this for an entire corporate shoot that was about 3 hours long, and then turned around the next day and shot this music video that was easily an 8-hour ordeal. And I still had a little juice to spare at the end, and I was using one of the smaller Sony batteries, not like the big thick ones, but the real skinny ones. On the battery, it says NP. I guess it's a Sony NP F970. But yeah, the battery lasts forever, and I'm using a small one. So if I put a larger one on there, it does compromise my rig because it's got like the handle is right next to it. So that's why I use a smaller one, but I'm sure if you put a bigger one on there, it'd be fine, and you would get a ton of battery life out of it. So the unit has settings where you can pick different frequencies and channels, I guess, to connect it through the airwaves, but I've left it on auto and I've had no problems with it. And during this music video, we had about 50 to 60 extras, and they had their cell phones out doing that, and nobody was on airplane mode, and no problems at all. It was great. It was going to a couple of different devices, and there was no glitching. It was very low latency, and yeah, it was awesome. So one of my favorite features of this, and we used it a lot on a couple gigs that we did, we went up to Pennsylvania and shot a commercial for a big company, and my producer that came with me downloaded the app and was able to view everything in real time, but he was also able to record a 1080p version with the audio, which is a great backup, first of all. I mean, of course, we're doing everything in 4K. I prefer that. But if I had to use the 1080p, nobody would ever know. and we would use it. So it was really cool that he could record that, but also when we were doing takes back and watching and listening to them back, I wasn't having to switch to the playback mode on the Atomos or the C200. He was able to just play it back because we didn't need a 4K version. The 1080 looks amazing. I guess it is kind of 4K compressed into 1080, but anyways, he was able to play those back for me, for the client, just to make sure we got the take if we need to do another one. And that was super convenient. In fact, he could be playing it back while I was off shooting some B-roll or setting up for the next scene. So I think the record feature on this is a plus, and I don't think you can do it on the lower level one that they have. Maybe it's called the Accsoon Air. This one you can record. I'm very grateful, and it records the audio. So it's like, thank you, Accsoon. And I'm sure you already know about the on-screen tools. Of course, when I'm using this, it's for my producers, director, if there is someone else directing other than myself, and then the clients. And I found that those guys and gals are not so reliant on those tools as I am. Now, I did see my producer when we were in Pennsylvania every now and again. He would turn on the focus peaking during playback, which is slick. Like even in playback, you can use all those tools just to make sure, because we were using the Ronin and I was utilizing the face tracking, dual pixel face tracking on the C200. And so he would turn that on to make sure the whole take was in focus, which it was. So the fact that you have all those tools is awesome if you have somebody who wants to use them. But I found with my work, nobody was really using them like I would have. But it is super cool to have, and they're really in depth. There's false color. There's false color, there's focus peaking, zebras. Actually it's right here in front of me. What else is there? Black and white, RGB. Oh, it's a histogram. That's like probably the most important thing in my opinion is the histogram, so we can just make sure exposure. And look, I'm looking at it. My exposure wave looks pretty good. Oh, and you can go live with this. We did do this. We did this on a Home Depot shoot, actually. Had a remote producer who was kind of on the phone with me, making sure everything was cool, everything was chill. And he was basically able to make a custom RTP, I think it's called. He's a live guy, I'm not. And I sent the signal and he was watching it while we were recording. And in today's day and age, as much as I hate the remoteness of our culture, that is kind of cool that he was able to watch it and he had peace of mind. Knowing that everything was going well and he could kind of check in and he was doing some other stuff. So it's kind of a cool feature. I don't know that I'd use it for like live stuff, more of what I just talked about, but that is kind of a rare case. Another reason I actually got this was a little bit of perception. So when you come onto a set and I'm able to put down this screen with the monitor on it and say, hey client, this is for you, just so you can kind of see what's going on. You can see the quality we're working with and the vision we have. It makes a really big difference, not only for the client, but for a couple producers that I just work with, kind of freelancing. They'll call me and say, hey, we're gonna go shoot this project. Well, I show up with this and an iPad fully charged on a stand, and those guys absolutely love it. And it makes them, you know, my work is good, so they want to hire me, but it does give an extra layer of like, oh, Forrest goes a little extra and gives me the image too, because in the past with those producers, I've kind of like got a shot and be like, hey, come take a look at this, you know, play it back for them. But I found this is really cool. They can record some clips if they want to, you know, play with it later. Most of them don't, but you know, they are always watching it and really appreciative of it. I'm a big collaborator, so to me, the more eyes on the image, the better, because somebody might point out that there's something weird in the background or somebody's got some weird hair thing going on. I've never been really one of those people who don't want to show people, you know, what's going on. I think the more eyes on it, the better. So my final thoughts on this unit is it's just awesome. Like, I love it. There are a few little downsides. Oh, no SDI out, but I could have paid for that. I could have had that. And also, I could technically convert it, I guess. I haven't tried that, nor do I need to, because most of the stuff I'm shooting is on the EOS R. I do shoot with the C200 from time to time. I shoot with the C100, but the R only has, you know, HDMI out, so no need for SDI out at this moment. Like I said, the antennas could be built a little bit better, but honestly, they're good. And they fold in, so when you're in transport or something like that, you can fold them down and not risk the damage. Actually, I think the problem was I left them open and I put them in a camera box in my production van, and it kind of leaned over in transit, and that's what cracked it. So user error. If you're looking for an HDMI transmitter that's not gonna break the bank, it's gonna be a good build quality, look super professional, and give your clients that peace of mind when you're on a production, I think this is a really good option. I'm gonna use it for pretty much everything. And this is the first time I've used it for YouTube, and it's working great for that. So I think it's a really good unit and it's worth the money. All right, guys, I quit my job last week, so I really appreciate you watching this, and I would ask you kindly to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, press the little bell button, and come back and see me in the next video. Peace. you.